All right, guys, so I had an SD card error. I had lost my footage for the output shaft transmission installation, the shift shaft, the shift forks, the shift drum, star, and all that. I lost all that footage. Pretty bummed out about it. I actually lost footage for multiple videos I had recorded. Don't know why I had another SD card error out of the blue. I did leave this thing outside in the shop and it was really cold, so that could have affected it. So here's the continuation of, I think we're, what it is, we're installing the case halves back together. So again, guys, sorry if you got questions, just drop a comment and I'll try to answer them back as quickly as possible. So let's jump into the rest of this video. All right, guys, so we got our new piece for the transmission in that was cracked. If you guys remember, after I put the other bearing in, it was cracked right around here. So we got the new bearing pressed in. This is a new seal. I have to locate what I did with the little Torx that go in here, but I'm not too worried about that at the moment. Let's get this guy, let's get this O-ring changed out on here real quick. I did buy one of those. So we'll grab a pick. We'll get this O-ring out. Grab our new one. Get this thing put on. Whoop. Put down my pick, make my life a lot easier. Come on, baby. I cannot get my hands to go on it. There we go. All right, slide that on. It's got the new O-ring there. And then what we'll do, we'll turn this on its side since we got the transmission in there, and we'll go ahead and place this on here. We'll use blue Loctite on all those bolts, just a little drip, and then we'll torque all these down to 10 to 12 Newton meters. All right, guys, sorry I had to cut it there. I couldn't find my grease. I finally found it because I like to grease up these O-rings a little bit. Should have greased it up before I stuck it back on here, but it's all good. Now you do have a alignment mark here for a dowel, so we'll go ahead and slide that on. And we'll line it up with our dowel. And I'll just work it back and forth a little bit to get it to slide down. Make sure I'm aligned on that dowel. Bam. We're almost all the way down touching right now. So we'll go ahead and grab our little 30 Torx right here. Put some blue Loctite on them. And I want to see what way this aligned again so I can make sure I get the proper bolt where it was. Geez, how many times I got to spin it? So that bolt, I want the one that's got a little nick in it already to match up with that. And it could have been the one down here also, because on the other one, this was nicked up here a little bit. And then, tell you what, if I can remember where I put anything now, that would be nice. There's my Torx. What did I do with my... Oh, I hung it back up. My impact. Now, I won't run these tight. I'll just run them down until they're all flush right now. Have to get a little extension for that one, and probably this one too. Yeah, I have to get my 3-inch extension. Now I'll just hit them a little bit, just a smidge to make sure this thing's fully seated. Now I'll go back and we'll torque these to 10 Newton meters. Actually, I'm gonna make it 11. Well, let's double check on that, because it could be 15 on these. I'll have to double check here. All right, finally found it. It's actually 12 Newton meters. That's what it says, 12 Newton meters, so we'll get to 12. Took me a minute to scroll through and find it, so we're set on 12. We'll just do a crisscross pattern. Double check them all. All right, all those are 12 to 13 according to what I got here. And then they would call these 3. These would go also to 12 Newton meters, put thread locker on those. I gotta locate those. I don't know what I did with them. They're somewhere down there, either here or in my parts washer. I'll have to figure that out. I'm not too worried about putting that on right now. I wanna move on to probably assembling the cases now. When we do that on this, I'm gonna go ahead and get this out of the way. This does have another new O-ring in it here. I'm gonna go ahead and I will put a little more oil on everything here. I'll put oil on the main journals. I'll pull the dowel pins out, and then I'll also pull out the, over here on this side, I'll also pull out these little grommets. And what I'll do, I'll take these guys, once I take them out, I'll dry them. I'll put silicone right here on the edges where the case halves sealed together. That way I don't have any weeping from those, possibility of weeping. So, but on this one here, we put it on the lower case halves, and it'll go basically around all this, all the way out down here to the side, here, down to here, and then we'll go from here over to here and down. We have a little bit here, and then we run across the whole entire back section here, all the way across. I'll have to double check on that. Let me figure if I can get back to that schematic here real quick. I know I keep saying here, 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 but it's down through the service manual here. Because I don't have to worry about the crank and all that, because we already have all that. That's never came loose or anything. We just want to make sure the main bearings get lubed back up. Transmission's got oil on it. Moly Lube's a good choice for that. So let's find it here. And I probably went too far because we're on the top end. Yeah, so basically what I just showed you, down along here, through there, across, up, over, we'll stop there, start here, come here, around the little dowel pin, down here, around, down, try not to get any in the oil journal right here. You don't want a big, big bead. And then we'll get a little bit right out here on the edge, which I'll probably end up doing quite a bit all over this. And then, like I said, down through here, between, crossed, not up here, don't do this, for all the way across to there. That's the only places it's showing to put Suzuki Bond. Again, I'll put a little oil in each one of these journals. I'll pull the dowel pins out the best I can and move those to hopefully, well, I can't not get that one out. I'll have to get a pair of pliers to get that out. And I'll move that back over here to this side of the crankcase. So I'll go ahead and, I know I'm reaching up moving you guys, go ahead and I'll pull this dowel pin out and we'll get started on the silicone, put the cases back together. I'm gonna start with the seals. So like I said, we're gonna just put it right here on each part where the cases meet together. Just put a nice little dab on each 50. And then Stick it right back down where it was. I'm gonna check to make sure, yep, I got it on both sides. Same thing with this little guy here. I can see where it originally was. I'll put some on that side. And over here. Drop back down. Get my washer back in there. Slide that back over so we know it's down and in place. I need a paper towel now. And do the balancer one also. Let me make sure this is dry, oil free. That way we know that gets a good seal all the way around. We'd hate to put this motor back together and we had a leak at one of these seals. That would be horrible. I'd be bummed out about that. All right, that looks nice and dry. You can see where I can see where the old crankcase halves used to be, and that's gonna be right about here. And then 180 degrees from that on the other side. And let's go ahead and put that back in. Right there. All right, so that's good. And that's okay if that starts to dry a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead over here to this side and we'll start to run the sealant on this guy. I just kind of dab and touch it like this. Is how I've always done it. You guys probably seen that from some other videos. This way I know I get a nice good, not crazy thick coat around it. We don't want it just to be out of control. We don't want it squeezing into all the oil journals and passages. So we just put a nice light coat and we'll go around this guy a little bit. We want to try to avoid getting it on that balancer bearing the best you can. I'm just going to keep you guys running while I do this. It might get boring, but I'm trying to give you guys a full detailed video of this 06 GSXR 750 transmission and case split here. It says to go all the way around this guy also. That's all it says to do down to here. Don't go anywhere past that. Then we'll start down here. You want on. And any excess that does squeeze out, we'll just wipe off. Again, nice and easy around this oil journal because you're going to come down it right here anyways. Still want to be thorough, but you don't want it crazy thick. And I'm going to take a little bit paper towel, wipe it down one of these oil passages to make sure it's clean. And I want to make sure I get all of that with some sealant. Got to move around a little bit to make sure you're getting it all. Yep, down to there, and then over to here. And I'll pretty much just do this whole thing here. I mean, factory, they'll run a nice bead on it, but I will use my finger for this. All right. And that will be all of our sealant. I'm just going to make sure we got everything nice and covered. Make sure I don't see any silver really shining through. All right, that looks nice. All right, so we got everything over here. I want to put a little bit of oil on these, just a few different spots. Well, actually, I want to keep a little bit of oil out of that at the moment. On the main bearings, we'll smear that around. And then we'll go ahead and flip this over. Drop the two case halves together. Let's make sure we're lined up here nice and neat. We don't want to bang the main bearings around. Everything seems pretty square. And now we'll just, I'll bring you over here so you can see. There we go. Bring it down a little bit. And then we'll work it down. Try. See, I had to turn the transmission a little bit to get all the gears to line up. Everything is down. There's that one. That one. Just making sure everything is lining up in the grooves as it should. There we go. Beautiful. All right, so now the case halves are together. We're gonna go ahead and put the crank bolts in, and we'll tighten all those down in sequence how it tells us to. Again, we'll start these guys here. These two go on the outside over here. These go case halves. I'm just putting them in where they belong. Long, short. Whoop. Crankety crank, crank, crank. And then, right, that should go there. And this one should go there. Why am I struggling that one? That's really weird. Oh, well that's why. I switched these two around. Gee, manitleys. Perfect. There and there. Holy crap. Let me get myself situated here. I was like, those are crank bolts. Why is it not looking right? So the order we'll go is we're kind of backwards here. Just remember that. For me, you guys are probably facing according to the service manual, which is, yeah, this is the back side of the motor. So in order for me to tighten it down, it's going to be, let me find the cap for my silicone. 12 is going to be 1, 2, which would be 1, 2. Yeah, 1. I hate looking at it backwards. I'll just flip this around so I can see it how I need to see it. All right, there we go. Now I see that right. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So there's that. Now, the way we torque these is a little bit different. So what we're going to torque these to 18 Newton meters first, in the same order we just were. So let's turn that on. We flip this back around. So everything will be 18 Newton meters. So let's start with number 1. Let me grab, actually the extension will be great for this. Just need a little one. If you got a good extension, your torque won't change. So let's start with, this should be 18 Newton meters, so we'll move it up to 18. There's 18 Newton meters, we'll start with 1. There's 18 in number 2. And then 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. And 10. All right, so all those are torqued down to 18 Newton meters there. And now what we'll do, we're gonna go to degrees. Now we'll go 50 degrees. There we go, 50 degrees past. Let me set this down for a second. All right, so we need to go 50 degrees. That's this 180, look like some rod bolts. Best part about this torque wrench, it has degrees. So final, remember, initial 18, final is 50 degrees past. So we'll start on number 1. You gotta see it's 0, and then we'll go 50 degrees past. There's 50, actually that's 52. 51. I need to be a little more precise here. 50. 50. That's 51. 51. 51. 51. 50. Last one, number 10. And 50. So we got those torqued down now. Let's go on to our next one, to the case bolts. Let's see, a 6 millimeter, 8 millimeters. So we need to go these two guys, and then we'll have these two guys out here. Let's see what they got going on. I need to zoom in. So we got these two, these two, these two, and then the 8s. So these will be initially torqued down to the 6 millimeter will be 6 Newton meters and final 11 on the 6 millimeter. And then crankcase bolts, 8 millimeter, 8 millimeter final. Okay, I'm a little, tighten other crankcase bolts a little at a time to equal pressure. Fit new gasket and washer to bolts, blah, 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 yep. Let's see, 6 millimeters, bolts. All right, so basically it tells me, oh, B, this one here will be a final torque of 22 Newton meters. These here and the two here will be 26 Newton meters. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're gonna start off with, we'll do the big ones first, and then we'll go ahead and hit the little guys. We don't wanna do these first. We want the big ones and the little ones. So let's go ahead and go with be 15 Newton meters. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that on my gun and just run these down a little bit until they touch. And I believe somebody's been in this motor before, because that's actually a 6 mil, not a 12 millimeter head. But anyways, we'll worry about that here in a second. So we'll go with these first. And like I said, 15 Newton meters. I'll start here. 15. 15. 15. 15. Let me grab a 6 for that. Yeah, I have a feeling that somebody's been in this crankcase before. Like I said, this bolt's, it's the correct length, but it's a 6 mil Allen instead of being a 12 mil Allen or 12 mil socket. 15. All right. So next, this one is going to be 1522. So we'll tighten this one to 15. And then we'll bump this up to 22. 22 for this particular one, right? No, sorry, this one is 22. So I got to look at it from your angle again. This one is 22. All right, and all the other ones we just did are 26. Oh, I forgot to go up. That's 22, 26. 26. 26. 26. 26. Ooh, that's right at 25.8. That's really, really close. And then 26. And then these little guys on the side here, the little 8s, are going to be, what did it say, 10 Newton meters? I believe is what it says. A 6 and an 11. Well, I can tell you this. That's already 6. So we'll go straight to 11 on that one. And 11. So those are all good on this side. Now we're going to go ahead and flip the motor over, and then we'll go ahead and get all the ones on the other side on the top of the motor put back in and torque back down. All right, guys, so what we got now, we have all our other bolts put back into place here. So it looks like we can find C, replace bolts B with new, fit washers and bolts C to prevent oil leak. And then according to this is going to be the same thing. All the 6mm bolts will be 15 and then 26. And then your 8mm bolts here. And then back here on this side, which you guys probably can't see that right now, are all the 8mm or 6x10 8mm heads are going to be 11 Newton meters. So again, I don't know if you guys want to see that. You got the 2 shorter ones go on the outside of the motor. The 2 longer ones go on the inside of the motor. Here, maybe I can turn it sideways like this. 2 longer ones here, 2 shorter ones out here. Then all your short ones, this will be where your ground wire goes. And then your other 2 longer ones here. Then you got the ones in the front. I'm just going to torque these off of camera. That way we can just move on. Nobody probably wants to see me do that. Actually, you guys might, so what the hell. Let's just do that real quick while we're standing around chit-chatting and talking. We're going to start with 12s here, or the 6mm bolts. I should say 8mm bolts, not 6. And I'm going to say they're probably going to be, because I am not seeing what it's telling me how to torque all those and what sequence. But from what I could see over here on the service manual, they're going to be pretty much the same thing like I said. So we'll go ahead and hit up all these bad boys real quick. All the big ones at 15 and then 26. 15. That one's already 15. One in the front. 15 and then 26. Well, that's kind of scary. I don't know if that one's going to end up stripping out. All these are kind of scary, I'm not going to lie. I know they have a washer on them. But let me double check through here real quick for a spec on that. But it's telling me 8mm, which is crankcase B, which was on the other side, but C, just telling me replace, prevent oil leakage, and it's not giving me a torque spec on that. Like I said, so I'm going to go ahead and guess that's probably going to be Well, you know, I'm gonna go to 22 just because I don't like the way these are feeling. Actually 26 Newton meters, I'm sorry, 26 Newton meters, if I can get back to it. Let's double check everything. I hit the button and went to foot pounds. I was wondering what was going on. 26, 26, 26, 26, 26. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and hit up all the 8s. Run those down. I'll have to do those probably by hand there. There's those. Let me grab. Screw these down by hand real quick. And then we'll torque these to 11 Newton meters. All right, so torque wrench. Yeah, I had that on foot pounds for a second. I'm like, man, that's awful heavy for being 26. And I looked again, and it was on foot pounds, which I was at 20. It's at 29 Newton meters. So that's a little on the high side on a couple. Come on. Now that's 11. I bumped it there a couple times and it. $11, $11, $11, $11. Yeah, I'm on repeat over here. And 11. So there we go, guys. We have the cases all bolted back together. I want to grab a paper towel. I want to clean up any excess on the outside of the case. It's maybe sticking out a little bit. It's just for, it kind of helps, gives it a little bit cleaner look. You don't see much of it really. It's actually pretty darn good. I mean, I like to see it. I like seeing it seep out just a little bit, not a lot, just a little. That way you know you got good coverage on the case halves. If it doesn't come out, then you know you probably didn't put enough in there. All right, guys, so that part's done. We're gonna flip it back over, get to the oil pump and oil pan, which we got a new oil pan off of eBay, or a good used oil pan off of eBay. So that'll be our next step. All right, guys, so we got the case halves back together. All that is nice and torqued down. Now our next step is to make sure some sort of surfaces here are clean and dry. And then we're gonna go ahead and put the oil pump back in. So we got a little oil on the O-ring that goes here. Then we have the 2 dowels that go in here and right here. And then I did install a new O-ring on the pickup tube because this thing was not sealing around here. It was falling out when I took the oil pan off, it was falling out. I'm gonna walk around, make sure you guys get a good angle to see down into this motor. Yeah, that looks pretty good for you guys, I believe. So initially, when I took this out, took the oil pan off, this just fell over. So that was definitely not, the O-ring was gone. So basically what happens, if that's not sealed in here very well, it's not gonna pick up the proper amount of oil. It's not picking up through this tube. It's pulling air around this outside edge. So that could be a catastrophic failure. And you also make sure you check your oil release pressure release valve. But anyways, so we're gonna go ahead and put this in like this. Got that O-ring on there. Make sure it goes down on the dowels. Put it all the way down. And then we'll tighten these 2, or these 4, I should say, not 2, these 8mm head 6x10 bolts. To 10 Newton meters. Make sure my poor torque wrench is still, there's 10. Ten. 10. And 10. So those are 10 Newton meters there. We're gonna go ahead and pull this guy off. We'll leave the oil pan off for the time being. Actually, no, I could probably, yeah, I could put that on because I can put the oil pump chain through the clutch side of this. So we'll go ahead. This has got oil on it. This guy's got oil on it. You can see it's in place now. It doesn't just fall out. It's actually in place. Let's go ahead and check what we got to do for the oil pan here. All right, so let's grab, I do have a new gasket. Got an OEM gasket here. Let's get this out. Stator cover gasket, oil pan gasket, and should have a clutch cover gasket. Yep, got all those. New oil pan gasket. Part number for oil pan gasket is 11489-01H01. If you guys see that, wherever the part number is, boom, there we go. Let's go ahead and throw this bad boy on. And we have a new used oil pan for this thing. Where did I set it at? Right behind, nope, that's the old one. The reason we got a new used is because here's the old one and the bolt didn't go all the way in for the oil drain. And here's a new used. This thing is lowered a little bit. So it did, somebody did smash into something on there. You can get a modified pan that cuts this off. It's a little bit deeper. I think it holds a little bit more oil also because it gets rid of this and the whole pan actually becomes deeper. About 300 bucks, I think it's 300 bucks on eBay is what I saw. Nice billet aluminum pan. All right, so let's grab all the oil pan bolts. Now I know this went like this here. And all these shorties went here. And I'm gonna throw a little bit of blue Loctite on all of these real quick. And then we'll go around, put them back in. And I don't think it has a specific order. Let me look at A and B here. Let's see, it's an oil pressure switch. Oil pan A, fit the clamp to the bolt A, which is back over here. And then B, fit the new gasket washer to B, which is the one right over, right back here, which has a washer on it right there already. And then the clamp to A, which I don't think this one actually had a clamp on it that I can recall, but we know B goes here. And then I'll have to see if I can't locate what they call the clamp, which is basically just a wire holder right here. I probably have one right here somewhere. I have to locate it. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw some blue Loctite on all these. We'll put those in. And there, I don't think it has a specific torque pattern, but I would go, you know, crisscross pattern. Let's double check, because I know I think the Yamaha had a certain bolting, or the Kawasaki, one of those two had a certain pattern you had to go in, and it doesn't look like the Suzuki does on this one. It's just showing me in my manual here, oil pan bolts, 10 Newton meters or 7 foot-pounds. So that's what we're gonna do. I'll do that, put those in real quick, and then we'll torque all those down. All right, let's get some blue Loctite on all these guys here. These should all be the same length, except for these little 4 shorties back here. I forget how many millimeters they are. You can see that in the parts diagram. I always say in the microfiche because I'm used to that, but in the parts diagram. I just want them touching. I don't want them like crazy snug. I want to make sure they're all torqued down first, or all touching first. The pan's square. And then we can torque them all down to 10 Newton meters. I will have to get an extension for this front one, but let's torque them all down to 10 Newton meters real quick. And where did I put my extension here? There it is. That should be long enough. Yep. Last one. Then we'll go around, check them all, just to make sure we didn't miss one. And we know this bolt's loose because we still got I might as well just go ahead and tighten that up right now. It should be a 17. Do I have one over here? Let's see if it tells me what that is supposed to be. I think it's like 34 Newton meters on most of these. All right, so I was wrong. It's not 34. This is actually 23 Newton meters. I'm at 28 is where I stopped at. So I'm about 4 Newton meters over, which is not a whole bunch. So I'm glad I looked that back up because I was thinking 34, but it says right here, oil drain plug, tighten up, 23 Newton meters or 16.5 foot-pounds. So we got this all tight. All these are tightened up, blue Loctite. Next thing we're gonna do, I think we're gonna go ahead, flip it over on its side here, and we'll put in the oil pump chain and the sprocket over here on the clutch side. And then we will move on to the clutch basket, a few other things on this side, then we'll flip it over and we'll get well, I don't want to put the stator on, so I'm not worried about that because I don't want to put the stator cover on because I don't want to put the side covers on until I actually get this mounted back into the bike because I do not want to scratch those brand new powder coated side covers. We can put the water pump on. We'll put the water pump on, the hoses, the starter. We could put the coils and everything back in. I just won't put the side cases on. So when you do side cases, all those are torqued down to 10 Newton meters also. So don't forget that, 10 Newton meters on that. So let's jump into the clutch side of this thing. and then we'll go ahead and put that on and all that stuff, and I'll show you guys how that's done and give you the torque specs of those. All right, so the first thing we need to do, we need to put the shift shaft back in. We have the detent and the star and all that's already on there. Now the shift shaft's gonna go back in. Remember, there is a washer on that, and it'll line up like this. So we'll go ahead and slide it down and through all the way to the other end, and we'll line it up right here. Solid push, and we are down on there. Now there is a, I'm gonna go ahead and tip the motor back up onto the straight up and down side. Then we'll grab, we have a bit, actually I need to flip this motor over before I put this in. And there is that, they put the new shift shaft seal in and pushed it in way too far. So let's roll this thing over real quick. Well, I guess there's no easy way to say roll it over, but I need to get my engine stands built so I can do this a lot easier. So this shift shaft seal is pushed way down in there. These seals only need to be flush. So let me grab my little, like maybe a little small screwdriver, and see if we can't just slowly pop that up without damaging it to get it back to flush. There's no reason for it to be pushed that far down in here against the seal. I may not be able to get underneath there to get it back up. I don't want to mess this up because I do not have another one here, and this one's, okay, it's moving. This one's brand new. I can see the original grease they put in these things still in here. So I'm just gonna go around and work this thing back to flush. Just nice and easy. Try not to, like I said, not damage anything. I would prefer to not have to do this, but I want to make sure this is right. And we'll definitely check it all the way around. Yeah, that's nice and flush now. I'll stand the motor up real quick. I'll double check the shift shaft when I slide it back through to make sure we got enough room to put this snap ring back on. So the same way I just showed you. In place, check it. Washer will go on. This big washer will slide on. And then, oh yeah, that'll be perfect. Snap ring will go on. Let me grab, probably shouldn't use that, but let me grab my snap ring. We'll grab the snap ring. I don't know if you guys can even see the angle you're at, but anyways, it's right down here. I love these little snap ring pliers because I can reverse them all the time. Go ahead and slide it over. Barely stretch it out enough just to get it over. You don't want to stretch it out too far, otherwise it will not hold right. We'll make sure we push all the way back in on the shift shaft. Make sure it lines up. Slowly move it in till you hear it snap into place. And now I got to get this thing lined back up. It came off a little bit. I always make things sound a lot easier sometimes than what they actually go. All right, I need to push back in on this guy a little bit. Come on, you're right there. There we go. That snapped back in place. Let me push on the top a little bit more, make sure. Yeah, there we go. She's all snapped back in there. So we got that all squared away now. So let's go back over here. Let's get the motor back onto the right side so you guys can see what's going on again. All right, let's check this angle. Looks pretty decent. So shift shaft's in. Next, we're gonna go ahead and add this thrust washer in the back. It has a flat side and a raised side. Raised side will go down first. And then you have this bushing. We can put that in. And now we'll grab our chain. This is gonna be way easier to do if I was upright, but I'm trying to give you guys an idea of what's going on. So you can just put it on there. You can kind of roll it. I'll lift this up a little bit. We'll grab this bad boy, drop it on there, get the chain back on that, like this, and then we'll square it up here and slide it back down. Make sure, spin it to make sure it's all caught, lined up, check the tension on it. You can see that, how that goes. And then the next deal is gonna be your clutch basket. Now, the clutch basket has these spots here where these little grooves need to go in there also. So pay attention to that. So first thing you can do, you can actually check it, line it up, make sure it sets down on there properly. You may have to rotate your crank a little bit up here to get the weight off the crank so this thing does set down in there. All this stuff is already oiled up. Here is our spacer and our bearing. Next is going to be this thrust washer. And then you have multiple parts here of this inner clutch hub. So this goes together a little easier when you have it all upright. So remember, this little guy has some little tabs on it that will all line up here. You can go ahead and slide this guy down here like so. This in there. And then you also have these spring washers. Whoop, we'll go first. If I can get that out. Make sure those are all lined up evenly. And then we'll line, if I don't drop everything again, this guy up, put this down here, line that guy up. And you can stick your finger probably on the inside and slowly work your way down on it here. So I'll hold this all in place with my finger, line it up with the splines, go down into place. We got that guy. And then you have a washer, a convex washer, which is the dome side, the part that points up, will go here. And then you have your nut, which you're gonna need to peen or replace the nut with a new one. We didn't order a new one. We're just gonna reuse this one. This one's been used once. I use them a couple times. We'll screw this guy down on here. And give me 1 second, I'll let you know what the torque is. Let's see. And the torque on that will be 95 Newton meters or 68.7 foot-pounds. So let me grab my clutch holder here. I'll screw this all the way down. I'll grab my clutch holder tool, and I think that's a 27? 4? Let me grab a 27. We'll check that real quick. Nope, 30. I'll need my adapter. Make sure it's a 30. Yep, 30. Grab my clutch holder. I love this guy right here. This is actually a OEM one. Part number is 09920-53740. Get this a little bit off center. Make sure it's in there nice and snug so we don't slip off any of those and damage it. And what I say, 95 Newton meters. It's maybe a little tough to hold and do this. So let's bring this up to 95. All right, so let's get this tighten this thing down. Let's see if I can hold this, and there we go. Yeah, 98.5, a little more than I wanted, but that's all right. And then we'll find a nice spot down here. We'll grab a hammer and a punch, and we'll peen that over. Some guys will use red Loctite on it. I know on my Yamaha race motors, we just red Loctite it because we changed clutches so much that we wouldn't even peen it. But we're gonna go ahead and find a spot. Hit it a good couple times, 2-3 times. Peen it over. Let me get a little bit better, different punch, a little bit smaller head to make sure we get a nice. That one was kind of wide. I mean, it fit, but I want to make sure this thing's peened really well. So right there, it's peened over. We will drop in the push rod that runs through. Where is it at? Did I leave it over here? I sure did. All right, sorry, I had a phone call there. So now we're gonna go ahead, we drop the push rod back in. We're gonna add this little guy in back here. Make sure you check your roller bearing, make sure it's all nice and clean. Drop that back in. And then we also have, if I can get the washer off of here. The washer, Midwest talk, washer. Anyway, so then we have the washer that goes on top. So when we put the clutch back together, there is a specific way you do this. We do have this, what we call like a judder spring. This one also has a flat spring in here also. I didn't take the flat spring out, it's still in there. So you have a spring that's flat, and then you have one that is concave, convex, however you want it. The concave, which the dome shape pushes inwards, that faces in, drop that in, and your first plate is gonna be the thinner plate. That way those springs set down inside here. And I like to line up all my little, what I call my shovels. I like to line them up because I just feel like it picks up better oil for lubrication. So we'll drop that down in there, and you'll alternate steel or fiber, steel, fiber, steel. And then with the steel plates, what I've been taught and told, you have a smooth side or a rounded side and a sharp edge side. So, because these things are stamped out of a big plate. So when they hit it with the press, it kind of rounds one side and cuts it straight through. So you want the sharp side facing out, and we just alternate. And like I said, I leave these little scoop guys here all lined up in the same spot. And make sure you oil your clutch, guys. This is a used clutch, so you can see the plates are a little bit darker. The clutch is still good though. So we're just gonna go ahead and reuse that. So we'll just kind of alternate, like I said, and I'm making sure that the steel, the sharp side is facing outwards towards me. Boy, I love it when they just fall in place like that though. It makes life so much easier. And I think they may have varying thicknesses of the plates. I'd have to look again to see. Some do. I know Yamaha has variants that way you can make different sizes of clutch stacks. And so the last one, the last plate doesn't go straight back on. It goes off one finger here. So it doesn't have a spot where it slides all the way down. It actually stops right here. Put that in. Grab what they call the pressure plate. These should all be preset from the factory. You guys can go ahead and reset these. Look in your service manual on the procedure to do that. There is a certain height this will stick out here on this side and all that, and you'll torque all these down. So there is a double, or actually maybe a double or a triple piece right here that lines up with this big cutout right there. So make sure you get this lined up with this cutout right here. Otherwise, you're gonna cause major problems. You can see it's kind of labeled with these two little stamp marks there. So we'll put that in there, make sure that fits nice and flush. Make sure that moves. And then we'll go ahead and grab our springs and bolts. We'll put those in, and let me double check. It's either 8 to 10 Newton meters, but like I said, I will double check on what that torque spec actually is here in 1 second. I could probably do that while I'm doing this. Let's see what she got to say here. And there also is an adjustment for this guy here. Once you got the whole motor back together, you'll keep the clutch cable completely off, and then you'll go in till you touch, and you'll back out like an 1/8 turn on this little screw here. Go in till it touches, back it out 1/8 turn. Once the motor's completely installed, back it out 1/8 turn, and then go ahead and tighten that lock nut back down. That gives you a proper spacing on that. Okay, so again, let's see. The outer plate also should be a different plate according to the service manual. And the very last steel plate, you have an option of D or E. D is a 2.0 millimeter or 0.1002 inches, 6 to 8 pieces, or actually any of them you can change out. And then RE, which is a 1.6 millimeter. Like I said, that creates a different clutch stack. So it depends on what you're looking for as far as bite, slippage, and all that good stuff. So we'll get that one in. Let's keep going here. All right, so we'll do it a crisscross pattern. Yep, 10 Newton meters is what it says, and that should be a 10 millimeter. And do I have it? Yes, I do. I'm trying to make sure I give you guys all the proper torque specs for this thing. I don't want to give you guys the wrong stuff. So when I say it and I don't remember it, I'm going to double check like I did on that oil pan, the oil pan drain bolt. I said 34, it was 23. So we're going to just run these down. Some guys use T-handles on these. I get them started and I'll use my gun. Just makes life a little easier. Racetrack, I'll use a T-handle. And all these be torqued down 10 Newton meters. That's not my torque wrench. This is my torque wrench. So right now it should be at 95 Newton meters for the actual bolt that holds the clutch basket in. And let's drop it back down to 10. There's 10. Do a little crisscross pattern here. 10. Well, I guess it's not really crisscross what I just did. I should have went from here to here, but we'll survive, I think. All right, so we'll start here, check them all one more time. 10.8, 10.2, 10.5, 10.4, 10, and 10.3. So the next thing we do here is we would put the clutch cover back on with the new gasket. The part number for the new gasket, that's the oil pan gasket. All right, part number for the new clutch cover gasket is right here. Let me touch the camera so I can see what I'm looking at. It's going to be 11482-01H00, if you guys see that. And then the stator side cover, since we're not going to put those on until I get the motor back in the bike, stator side cover is a 11483-01H00. Straight from Suzuki, that's the part numbers I have in matchup. So next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and rotate it over to the, I'm going to stand it up right now actually, and I'm going to put the starter back in, and then I'll go ahead and add the, I cannot put all the starter gears back in because they will fall out, but I will put the starter in, and then we can put the water pump in on the other side. So I'm going to flip the motor over and we'll jump onto that. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm going to show you guys how this goes back together on this side. I'm trying to find, here it is. I did have to buy a little new push rod that goes in here. Again, we're gonna have to put, where did the little cover go I had? Was cleaning it off a little bit because I forgot to clean it. This guy is gonna set right across here, like so. Whatever direction it's, there we go. Like this, or is it this? Haha, there we go, like that. You got these 230, looks like a 5mm Torx. We're gonna go ahead and, let me get this out of the way. We're gonna go ahead and add blue Loctite to that. There. In here. And I'm still trying to figure out what the hell I did with those 3 bolts that hold that in place. So let me grab the 5. I don't think I have it over there. A little blue Loctite, and we'll torque these down to 10 Newton meters also. Let's grab our torque wrench. Turn it back on, 10 Newton meters. And 10. So we did get this new push rod. Like I said, the other one was bent. Part number is 23111-35F00. That will just go right in here like so. And of course, it's pushing on the clutch side, so that's where this will go once we get all that back together. So we have that. Just trying to show you guys some steps here because, like I said, I'm not putting the side case cover on yet until I get this installed, but I will find these 3 bolts and those will be torqued down. You have your gear position sensor. But anyways, we'll show you what's going on with this. So you have this gear here, which is your, almost like a, I forget what the name of this one is, but that will go right here and that will spin that. So you'll have your new gasket on there. And of course your stator will be inside here. You'll use a little bit of silicone on the rubber piece. That way you don't get any oil leaks there. This guy will go back on like so. Okay, I'm not gonna stick it all the way on. And then you have this one here, which has a washer on both sides. So be careful about that, all right? So this one here, once this goes all the way on, this will face up in a bearing. So let me get this in here. That'll go there, bearing in that. And this guy will go down like this. Washer on the outside here. Once this thing's all the way down, it'll all line up with the other gear. You'll have your new O-ring on here. You'll line that up, how it goes. Tighten all these down to 10 Newton meters, and you can slide your starter in, put a little grease on the new O-ring, tighten these down to 10 Newton meters also. You can use a little blue Loctite, and that's how that'll go back together. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can't figure out what the heck I did with these real quick, but let's go ahead and install the new, not the new, but the gear position sensor here real quick. Let me get this back out, get some of this stuff out of the way. But that's how that goes back together. Like I said, I don't want to install this stuff until I get the motor back in the chassis. I don't want to scratch up this new powder coated things here. So here is our gear position sensor. I believe, maybe double check the direction of this before I go ahead and stick it in here like a crazy person would. But I'm pretty sure it goes up and around like so. Just let me double check on that. All right, yeah, so gear position sensor goes up like this. I'll throw a little blue Loctite on these guys again. That's a 4mm Allen. Like I said, I just want to double check the right direction because I can't remember what other model. Maybe it was a Busa or the 05 GSXR that it pointed the other direction. Something that pointed the other direction. Oh, I cannot remember. Let's grab a 4. Run these little guys down in there. And these will be 10 Newton meters also. Actually, I think maybe 7, but 7.5. 7.5. I think these are actually 7 because those are, I don't think those are 6x10. I think that's a 5 mil bolt. So we got that back in. Let's go ahead. I don't think I can put the water pump in just yet. It may block me from getting in this. So let me figure out what I did with those and we'll get those bolted in. That plate back on, which is got a seal in it so we keep the oil inside there. So let me figure out what I did with those bolts real quick. And we'll get that on, then we'll get the water pump in place. All right, so I've looked everywhere for these 3 bolts, and I cannot find them, but I did find these 3, which may have been what they initially had in here. Like I said, I could tell somebody else has been here in the past, so they may have stuck the wrong bolts in there. I'll have to order up some of the countersunk Torx that go in there properly, but I know the water pump will fit. I just got done cleaning it. It was pretty nasty looking. So I'll grab a little bit of grease. I'll go around this O-ring here. And then you'll look down in here and you can see it's slotted. So you want to make sure you get that slot lined up and go work your way down. And I can tell it's right in there because it won't go all the way down. Then you have your 2 bolts. You have one that's a little bit longer than the other. Long one will go here, short one will go there. And then we'll tighten those down and we'll torque those to 10 Newton meters. If I can find my 10 or my 8, I mean. So we'll go ahead and screw this down. And then 10 Newton meters. If I get a grip on this thing, my hand just doesn't work anymore. Sorry guys, battery went dead. The cold weather plays hell on my batteries. So anyway, so we're gonna torque this down 10 Newton meters. 10 and 10. So that's on, that's installed. I could go ahead and put back on the thermostat housing. I could put the starter back on, but I wanna make sure, I'll do that after I get the side case on and make sure it lines up with that side case well and all the gears that go here. I got, the last thing I have to do is just put some hoses on, side case covers on, the stator back on. I do have the pickup, crank pickup. It goes on the other side. I will bolt on. I don't know if you guys really care to see that or not. This pretty much done. So let me just look over here momentarily and we'll talk about what we went through and see what else we got to do. All right guys, so I was looking over this motor. Let's just talk about it here for a second. Got an oil filter to still put on it. I got the oil pressure switch to bolt that back on, screw that back on, run it. Just got some of the hoses for the water pump. I got the cam trigger. I have the stator I need to bolt back in here. I have the, of course, the starter gears, the starter, the clutch cover, the pickup right there, which bolts into here. This push rod. Let's see, yeah, and then I got some the coils and spark plugs to put back in this thing. I need to order up the 3 bolts that fit here. I could slide this rod in probably right now to kind of give you guys a better idea of how far it actually does go. I mean, it doesn't go like crazy far. The old one, if I can find it, I just saw it a minute ago here somewhere, it's really, really bent. So this one is all nice and straight, unlike the other one. The other one's all bent, and that'll come through, that'll push onto this little guy, and we'll adjust all that once I get the motor back in the chassis. You see how it pushes it in? There, that goes all the way through, pushes on that. So pretty much, I think we're pretty much done with this transmission installation on this motor. I'll reinstall the motor back into the chassis and we'll fire this thing up. It's probably gonna be a while till you guys see that video. I still have to get that chassis welded. I don't know if you guys saw that or not in video 1. So the chassis is still sitting over here on peg stands, and I'm still waiting on the contact back to weld that frame. I do have the swing arm, it's powder coated. I need to press in new bearings and the sleeve for that. There's the exhaust, there's all this other stuff. There's no video on that guy, but anyways, so yeah guys, that was the installation, the transmission, and kind of putting this motor back together. Remember, the side case bolts are 10 to 12 Newton meters. Make sure you put a little silicone on that rubber grommet that goes for the stator. When you put that back together, that we don't get any leaking there. And just kind of lube up your O-rings and all that. And then I'll give you guys the torque specs when I get this thing back in the chassis. We'll walk around that in another video. We'll take it for a test ride. It's got a 240 rear tire on it with an extended swing arm. It's been a long time since this old man's rode something with an extended swing arm like that and with a big tire. But that's probably going to be a little bit. We're going to wait on that. So I'll post all these other videos, and I might just make a short on that part of it. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll just talk about the installation. Maybe I'll do a time lapse. I don't know if you guys even want to watch that, but it's content for my channel, so whatever. So guys, if you got any questions about motorcycles, ATVs, or UTVs, leave a comment down below. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you liked the video. Subscribe if you haven't. Any more questions, just hit me up at limitlesspowersports78@gmail. Also, you can find me on Facebook at Limitless Powersports Service and Repair. TikTok at Limitless Powersports Sir and Rep. Again, guys, I hope this video was educational for you. I had a lot of issues I had to find and do. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and I'll make another clip before this. I did lose some footage due to SD card error on multiple videos I had recorded. I didn't get a chance to pull it off, and then I lost beginning footage of installing the gears and stuff back into this transmission. So, but again, guys, I appreciate it, and keep liking the videos, keep coming back for more content. I'll catch you guys on my next upload.